Hey everyone, so today we're going to make a butternut squash soup. So let's get started. First, go ahead and cut off both ends of your squash. And then we're going to cut that in half. And then once we open it up, we're going to take some time and really scrape out all of that seed and pulp that's in there. And you can use a spoon or whatever you want to use to scoop it out. Really get it nice and clean because we're going to throw it in the oven. Okay, so take your squash and get it lined up on your pan. A little bit of olive oil on there. We're going to season it up with some salt, some pepper, and we're also going to use a little bit of brown sugar and make sure you rub that all over the flesh of that butternut squash. And then we're going to flip it upside down, and we are going to bake these at 350 for about 30 to 40 minutes. In the meantime, we are going to get our vegetables going for our soup. First, we're going to cut our onion. Make sure you keep that hand nice and flat on the top as you cut slits across the side of it. And then you're going to make more slits down it. And then when you make your cuts, it gives you perfectly diced onions. It doesn't really matter on the size. You want it to be kind of around the same size, but it's all going to get blended anyway, just so it cooks evenly. Next, we're going to cut our celery. I usually cut mine in half, so it's a little bit more manageable when you're cutting it. And again, we're just do a quick chop on this celery. Okay, and then we're going to do our carrots. We are using baby carrots just because that's what we had lying around the house, but you can use any kind of carrot. Again, we're just going to do a quick chop on these so that way it cooks evenly with the onions and the celery into the pot. And the last thing we're going to do is now cut our garlic. So we're going to press that down, and we're going to pull out our garlic cloves, cut off the tips of the garlic, and then we're just going to do a fine mince on these as well too. So after all of our vegetables are cut, we are going to turn on our heat to medium-high, and we're going to saute our veggies for about 10 to 15 minutes until the vegetables are tender and the onions will start to become translucent. Okay, next we're going to add about 3 cups of stock to our soup. You can use any kind of stock. We're using vegetable stock that we made the other day. So with our heat still at our medium-high, we're going to bring our soup to a rolling boil, and we are going to cook these for an additional 10 to 15 minutes, and about that time, our butternut squash should be ready to come out of the oven. Okay, so we're going to check on our butternut squash, and I usually prick it with a fork to test if it's done. If the fork goes smoothly all the way through the squash, it's ready to be peeled and then cut into more manageable chunks to be thrown into our soup. Okay, so by now our soup has been cooking for about 30 minutes and our vegetables are nice and soft. We're going to be cutting up our squash into manageable chunks. Again, it doesn't really matter the size because we are going to blend everything together. Okay, so now we are ready to start blending our soup. This is a new version of the hand blender that we own. The link can be found in the description below. We are going to puree our soup until it is nice and smooth or to whatever consistency that you prefer. All right, so next it's time to season our soup. I usually add some salt, a little bit of pepper, some tastefully simple garlic seasoning, a little bit of cinnamon, and then to give a little bit of sweetness, I'll add some brown sugar to it. And in between adding any of those ingredients, we're going to blend it up. Again, make sure it's nice and smooth. So it's important to remember with this soup to taste often and then adjust your seasoning and spices as you go. And now I'm going to blend it one more time because I did add extra seasoning to make sure we keep that soup nice and silky smooth. Once the consistency and the flavor is what you like, plate it up with a little bit of cinnamon on top and enjoy.